Going on, everybody? This is Warren Dews. I'm the publisher of the Greenville Pioneer, the Ravinia News Herald, the Columbia newspaper, and the Upstater.com. As you know, I come in and I do these things called get to knows. And I got a new friend here today that I want to introduce you to so we can get to know him. So who are you, friend?
I'm Bob Phibbs, the retail doc.
What's going on, Bob? Bob, retail doc, what does that mean? Explain that to me.
I help small and large retailers increase their brick and mortar sales by basically open their hearts to another human being and making their day, so they're going to make your day.
Now, how do you do that? Do you have a team of people you go find? How do you do? What do you do?
So I have a couple ways. One of my way I started was as a motivational speaker, so I could be speaking to Lego or Google or any number of people. So that's one that really short, but the one that really makes most people the money is my online retail sales training program, where I've taken 30 years of retail sales training and leadership, et cetera, and sales success, and made it an online program, which takes about 4 to 6 months to get through. But you know what's interesting, Warren, is 83% of the people that take it report a double-digit increase in sales in 6 months. Not easy. It's kind of like, can't buy a diet book and go like, well, I bought the book. It's like, dude, you got to read it. Yeah, okay, read it. No, you can't. That's not, you actually have to do it. And that's what we say. We don't sell training, we sell success. So it's all about how do you engage another human being in a world where most of us are just picking this up and not talking to people anymore.
So one of the things you and I were talking about before was, turning one of these salespeople around and getting them, I guess, excited to sell and learn some new skills. What does that one person mean to a company? Because it's their bottom line. One rep selling better does what to them? Like the average, money they get back from that, the return on investment working with you.
So, the number one thing year after year, people say bothers them most about going in a brick and mortar store is they either can't find someone to help them or everybody's on their phone. It's the number one thing. And yet everybody thinks your product is the hero. But I got to tell you, since COVID, we're living in a kryptonite world, man. We want to come into a store. And I don't care what your product is. I want to feel like the superhero. You're going to have to show me how your computer or your dress or whatever it's going to be, it's going to clamp onto my hero's belt. But you know what? The only way you're going to do that is to know that your employees have to sell like heroes. Only heroes sell to heroes. So if you don't train them how to be confident and you don't train them how to engage somebody, you're probably missing it. Whether you're a big electronics store like a Best Buy or something like that, they're down 10% in sales. Well, what do you need to do? You need to get people excited about being human in a brick and mortar store instead of waiting for somebody to walk in on today and say, hey, do you have a white shirt with blue stripes with blue flowers on it? They're not saying that. All they know when they walk in the store is, I want something different. And, I always say we go into a store to discover, we go online to buy. If I need a new printed cartridge, HP 23, I'm not going to come down to you to find it. I'll just order it. But if I go into an office supply store and I have to ask the guy to get the sacred scrunchie with his keys for his $30 cartridges, your mistake is thinking that's all I want. If that's all I wanted, I would have got it online. So if you're trying to move sales, then you understand that your best thing you can do is engage someone so they spend more time. Just like you, I want to spend more time on the web. So you'll click our ads, right? Same idea.
It's funny you say that because I'm not going to give any names, but there's to where I live, there's a hardware store. They sell hardware store and wood and all those types of things. And there's a big store in the same market that sells things a little cheaper. My son and I went into one of those big stores he wanted to make something. Oh, he was making he skateboards and he wanted to, get wood and all this other stuff. So we walked into this big box store to ask questions. They knew nothing, couldn't find anybody. And he and I looked at each other and we said, I'll say this. We said, let's go to Car. Car Hardware is a small little mom and pop business. It's been around 100 years. But you walk in and you can find somebody and they know, they talk to you, they speak to you, they know their stuff. And it was just funny. We did that because we're going to pay a little more, but we got our answer. As soon as we walked in, the guy knew everything we needed. Matter of fact, his son skateboarded, so he knew exactly what we wanted.
That's the sweet sauce, dude. It's like knowing it's about the project, not saying, do you have any nails? Oh yeah, nails are over there, aisle 18 on the right. It's like, that's not the point. There's a million nails. Have you ever tried to buy nails or screws, dude? Just like most of us are like, is it a Phillips head? Great. Oh, it's got to be 4 inches, not 2, because it'll vibrate and it'll come out. Oh, how do I know that? I'm not a carpenter, right? But if
Exactly.
you have someone that actually knows it and can help you and says, oh, well, this is what you're going to need for your project, you're not thinking money. You're just like, great, I love this guy. I'll be back. And you're going to show him a picture. This is what we did. You know, I was up in Wyndham yesterday watching kids practice. They had these little practice runs of ski jumps in their backyard, and they had tried to make them out of like cinder blocks and different things. And I found myself thinking, I wonder how safe that is. But, you know, if someone had just given them the clue of this is what you're going to need, then everybody's happy. And that's what we forget, that it's all about people feeling like they matter. They're going to buy more. And people that don't feel they matter, like you and your son at the big box, we're out. We're out. And they don't, you know, what's funny is you don't come back. You didn't go back to the big box, go like, well, you didn't have everything and the guy wasn't helpful. We're never going to be back. We don't do that.
Well,
We just don't come back. Right.
The funny thing you say that is, and so at that big box store, the manager that runs that store, his daughter actually works for me. And so I did go back and complain to them. And he walks up to me, we start to talk, and his daughter worked for me at a restaurant that I own. So, but I did speak to him and he was helpful. I said, you see how helpful you are? Your people were not. So I did kind of, I'm that dude.
That's
that dude
unusual. Well, say you're that dude, man. I'm not that dude. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, I went back. So give me an example of a company that you recently worked for, or you worked with in the past, and you turned their business around by them coming to you.
Well, I'll tell you how I got started. I used to sell cowboy clothes in the 80s. I know it doesn't look like it, but in the 80s, cowboy clothes were very big in Los Angeles. And I would give them my 3-piece suit and I said, I'll sell your stuff, but I'm not going to dress that way. They're like, oh no, you'll do it. And it was a commission basis, and worked my way up. 55 stores, largest in the United States. It was great. Got the highest increase of sales. South Coast Plaza, #1 mall in the world. Great breed. And one day the owner says, what's a company's greatest asset? I go, it's employees. Goes, wrong. It's like, wrong. Everybody's looking around like nobody gets it. He goes, it's customers. And I walked down to his office and I said, customer can go anywhere. We built this business on loyal employees. I'm out in 2 weeks. What? I'm out. So for 3 months, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? Go to a Tony Robbins seminar. Tony says, you better come up with a brand nobody else can do better than you. And I thought, well, I did this for this guy. I can do this for anybody. Trademark the retail doc. And then I read this story about a little guy go up against 2 Starbucks in Long Beach, California. I went in one night to check him out. People had been writing letters, this was wrong with America. The big guy putting the little guy out of business. It's unfair competition. Walked in, half the lights are burned out. 2 kids are leaning against the counter. That second Starbucks open, this place will be gone. I've already said I'm the manager. I go in and meet the owner. Mike tells me that he has been losing money ever since the first Starbucks opened 10 blocks away from him. 10% every month over the previous month. He owed more than he made in a year. His dad told him he would never amount to anything, and his dad was his landlord. I'm like, dude, what are you going to do when that second Starbucks opens? He goes, I don't know. I'm going to send him back to Seattle. I said, great. And how are you going to do that? And he took off his glasses. He goes, I haven't got a clue. And yet Mike was the founder of the Specialty Coffee Association. He is the expert. Everybody knows him. And from that, we rebuilt his business, went up 50% the first year, 40% the next. And I got the local media around, called the local county paper, the local Long Beach paper. And then one day I just decided, what the hell? And I called the New York Times business section. And I said, would you be interested in the story how the little guy beat the big guy? And they're like, we would. Send a reporter out in July. I'm in the Hilton in Manhattan, October 27th, 1999. And I go down and there's the Sunday paper and I flip it over and there is a color paper, picture of me and Mike. And it says, open the business section. I open the business section and it says, meet the category killer. And that was me. And that whole top page was the story of my business. So fast forward to last year, Mike sends me a text. I use this in my speeches. And he sends me a text and it says, closing May 29th. Thanks, Mike. And I call him up. I go, what the hell, Sheldrake? You're closing May 29th? He goes, I'm not closing May 29th. That second Starbucks is closing May 29th. And I say, do you think that was ever possible 30 years ago when we started working together? He goes, no, not until you taught me I need to expect more from myself, not about other people. So at its heart, that's what I do. That's the clients from large and small that I work with. But it comes down to, you have to acknowledge that something is wrong and be willing to make massive change. And in Mike's case, out of 28 employees. He only had one still left there after 45 days. Everybody else was new and had been retrained. And already in 45 days, sales were up 11%.
That's an amazing story. I'll end with that. So how do people reach you? How do they get to you? You know, tell us that.
The easiest way is to just Google me, Warren. So the Retail Doctor, I'm Bob Phibbs. You can go to retaildoc.com, retaildoc.com, or SalesRx, my online training, just like it sounds, SalesRx.com. Or if you're in the greater metro Cooksaki area, you might see me around training the new Newbury hotel employees here in the next couple months.
Awesome. Well, listen, man, I'm a real guy, and I'm honest about a lot of things. It gets me in trouble. I was excited to talk to you. Just as soon as we got on a call today, I just felt something with you, you know, so you seem like a special character. And I appreciate you taking the time to speak to our readers. Everybody, once again, this is Warren Dews Get to Know. We do this every so often with our advertisers and with just special people in the community. You'll see more of Bob. We're going to do some Ask the Expert stuff with him because it seems like he's an expert in what he does. So once again, thank you. As always, you can reach out to me if you need anything from me at 413-212-0130. That's 413-212-0130. And don't forget about the Top 5 event we're doing in Coxsackie at the Wire at the place he just mentioned, which is the hotel that's going, you know, that we'll be at soon. So bye, everybody. Peace and hair grease. Some of you don't even know what that means. I'll leave that alone.